to understand who the fuck I am on this US land. I let my hair grow, then I cut it off. Put a couple lines in it, cause you know I'm never coming soft. I do a lot of shows and I get a lot of stares. I got a lot of haters, but really who cares?
He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life. Muhammad Ali, rest in peace. A true legend, a guy that was the innovator of talking people into the seats. He was the man, he was the champ, he changed the world, and what else can you say? This show, this episode 6 of Mitch Please will be dedicated to Muhammad Ali. Believe that. And this episode is going to be jam-packed. I mean, we have this week from the Chico comedy scene, we have Jerm Leather. Also, I went and saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, and it was incredible. And I saw that with my nephew, 9-year-old Zachary, and we actually sat down with Zach and we talked about it. And it was great. A nice little 10 and a half minutes here. We're going to jump right into it. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. 10 and a half minutes. Go ahead and skip through the next 10 and a half minutes if you don't want to be spoiled about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Outside of the Shadows. We're going to cut over there right now. So we had our moms drive us and drop us off at the Paradise Cinema 7, where we saw the first new era of Ninja Turtles, and we just got out of watching the second Ninja Turtles. I'm sitting here with my guest right now, Zachary. What's up, Zach?
Not much, but I really enjoyed the Ninja Turtles movie.
Me too, man. Me too. And welcome to Mitch Please, and thank you for being on. And yeah, we're going to talk about some Ninja Turtles. Spoiler alert. Everybody out there, if you haven't seen the movie, I would stop listening right now because there might be some spoilers here coming up. So, man, I mean, I just thought that, and I'm going to give you my opinion, I want to hear yours, but Zach, I thought this one was better than the first one. I thought the storyline was better. I thought the characters were better. There was more comedy. There was more action. What is your initial impressions here? We just got out of the theater. We're sitting down here in Paradise right by a creek. I mean, what did you think of Ninja Turtles? Number 2.
I really enjoyed the way Rocksteady and Bebop acted and how they weren't so serious, yet they still got the job done. And I also really enjoyed that they brought Krang in.
Crane. Yeah, the brain, man, because he wasn't in the first one. I don't even think he was in the other 3 movies that were released in the 90s. He was in the animated series. Because when I started watching, it was the original animated series, and like I said, the early 90s. And I know they've done a lot of cartoons, and they did the movies, and they've done these movies, and there's other cartoons. Yeah. But, yeah, man, Crane was awesome. Yeah, Rocksteady and Bebop. Sheamus, a WWE wrestler, was, I believe he was Rocksteady, right? The guy, the Rhino.
Right.
The Rhino was Rocksteady. Bebop was the Warthog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. And who was your Michelangelo, right? For me, Michelangelo stole the show. He's hilarious. He was just so entertaining. Who was your favorite Ninja Turtle this time around?
I thought Donnie was really good. Just the way that he was never listening to the conversation, and when they were going to do something, he was just, wait, we're going somewhere?
Yeah, and Donatello and all the high-tech stuff that he had was pretty cool, right? Yeah. The van, was that a van, a garbage truck? What was that thing?
It was a garbage truck. I really liked how accurate the manhole covers were and how they just barely missed the rear view mirror of the car.
You're talking about when they were shooting stuff at it?
Yeah, on the first chase scene where they're trying to get Shredder out of the truck.
Yeah, they're trying to break Shredder out of the prison truck. I mean, it was so many great things, man. They flew to Brazil, jumping out of the airplane was awesome, right?
Yeah.
Raphael was scared to jump out.
Yeah, I mean, Raphael, he's the big guy with all the muscle, and he's all of a sudden afraid to do something that all the others did easily, especially this very, very careful one, Donatello.
Yeah, he was the first one out. And what I really liked was how I didn't think in the first one they really explained the fact that Leonardo was the leader. He's the guy that calls all the shots. He's the brain, he's the leader. He's the guy in charge. He's the one that they're all looking up to. But Raphael kind of has an attitude. He's kind of rebellious. And I think they explored that more in this one with Raphael, being more rebellious and not being, and showing some weakness as far as being scared to jump out of the airplane. And then, of course, April. Megan Fox is April. What did you think of her?
Well, I thought the ways she could work to get information were very interesting. Like she isn't like the turtles, which have all the big weapons. She finds her own ways.
Yeah, she uses her charm and her beauty to sneak in there and get stuff. And then the first time ever in the new series of Ninja Turtles here, Casey Jones, Stephen Amell, which I was really impressed with him. And the first time I saw Stephen Amell was actually in wrestling in WWE last summer. He got in the ring actually and wrestled and did a match. But this was my first time seeing Stephen Amell on screen, and I thought he did a fantastic job. What did you think of Casey Jones?
Yeah, I thought he was really impressive. I really liked how he first met the turtles, and when they're all just huddled up, and Casey Jones just doesn't know how to react.
Yeah, it was great. And what I like too is they explored the story of Casey Jones more. In the first one, he was just kind of a random guy off the street. In this one, they showed, he was a part of the police force. And then the police boss, the chief of police girl, didn't believe him and booted him out and told him to kick rocks, and then he takes matters into his own hands and gets involved with April, gets involved with the turtles. Now Shredder, it was kind of weird the way, again, another spoiler here, the way he went out. He did all the work with the doctor to get everything going for Crane, get the dimensions and the portals and everything going, and then Crane just froze him and put him back in the box. So it looks like, Shredder's definitely not done. We're definitely going to see some more of Shredder in the future. What happened with Bebop and Rocksteady, going back to them? How were they? Weren't they last seen in a van?
The last time you see them is when Casey Jones is trying to, defeat them, and he chases them into one of the storage crates, and then takes one of the grenades off of the three-wheeler thing and throws it in with them, and then shuts the doors, and then you just don't see them for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so they opened up a lot of possibilities. Keep you guessing. There's definitely going to be a number 3. We're going to see Bebop, Rocksteady, Shredder, Crane. They're all going to be back. The Turtles now are accepted by at least the police force as of now in New York City. They were accepted. They were honored. They were given the key to the city. And they had Falcon, of course, in the last one. He took all the rap for everything. And what'd you think of the Falcon?
I thought that normally when characters are the big heroes, but they really haven't done anything, they normally gloat a lot. And I'm not saying that he didn't gloat, but they didn't make it so that he acted as or he didn't gloat as much as it normally happens when things like that happen in movies.
Yeah, he could have gloated more and been a jerk and been a bad guy, but no, he did admit, hey, the Turtles are the guys, and he had fun with the Falcon character and accepted all the glory and stuff. But yeah, no, I hear you. He could have gone further with that. He could have turned on the Turtles, and maybe he will. Maybe in number 3, I don't know. It was great though, man. I had a great time. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a great time.
Get enough Reese's Pieces, enough slushiness?
Yeah, but I'm really interested in what will happen to Shredder.
Yeah, well, he's frozen, right now, and
he went through the portal to the other dimension.
Yeah, Crane and Crane and all of his compartments of all of the. It seemed like he had a lot more things in that compartment than just Shredder. Remember, we froze Shredder and we put him in that little compartment with the rest of his toys, he said, and I'll play with you later. And there was a lot of things going on in there. So, it opens up the door for possibly more supervillains for the next Ninja Turtles, and I'm really excited about when that happens. We're definitely going to go again, right?
Right. And what I thought about freezing Shredder and all, and you could see like other ones, but you couldn't really make out what they were. I think that when the different pieces like crashed down onto Earth and they spread apart, that I don't think that was accidental. I think it was purposeful to have somebody be used to do this because Craig wanted to destroy all worlds so he would be the ruler of everything, even though that doesn't make sense since he would have destroyed everything.
True.
Then normally supervillains realize that when they've already tried to go through with their plan.
Yeah, and you noticed how greed really is what ended it for all of them, because Shredder got greedy and sent the Doctor away, and then Crane got greedy and sent Shredder away, and then the Turtles did what they always do, man, and got the job done. What was your favorite scene, your favorite moment from the movie?
I'm not sure, but
You got to give me one here, Zach. This is Mitch, please, man. When Mitch asks you a question, you got to answer it for me. Come on. Favorite scene. I'll give you mine. Let me give you mine first. I thought my favorite scene, anything involved with pizza, is always great, because the Ninja Turtles are, they're known for the pizza. And what I thought was really funny was when they met Casey Jones, and Casey, are you guys aliens? Right? He's like, are you guys aliens? And then Michelangelo gives him the wink, and he starts playing the role of a creature, and he's like, yes, we're an alien. We've come to get you and dip you in ranch.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was my favorite part, I think. I love the ranch reference.
Yeah. It doesn't have really anything to do with the rest of the movie, but I thought it was really funny when Mikey spills the one slice of pizza onto the basketball court.
Onto the Madison Square Garden, yeah, onto the court when they were watching the Knicks from the big screen box. Yeah, so that was funny, right? Mm-hmm. All right, Zach, we got to wrap up here, man. 10 minutes. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time here, and thank you for coming to the movies with me and watching the Ninja Turtles. Any last words as we go out here?
Not besides bye.
All right. And how about Cowabunga, Turtle Power?
Cowabunga, I guess.
All right, we'll go with that. Thank you very much, Zach, for coming on.
Bye.
Awesome kid right there. My little nephew, Zachary. Thank you for coming on the show, Zachary. I appreciate it, man. Hopefully everyone enjoyed our opinion, our feedback of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Not outside, but Out of the Shadows. Really enjoyed it, as you heard there, guys. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in this week to Mitch Please. Thank you for liking Mitch Please on Facebook. Thank you for following at HeartbreakerMV on Twitter, on Snapchat, on Instagram. It's all very much appreciated. And of course, if you are listening here on youtube.com/TheMitchValentine, thank you for that. Thank you for hopefully subscribing and commenting, and of course sharing, because you guys sharing this, it takes 3 or 4 seconds. It really helps get the awareness out about this show. I'm very thankful that a couple of our wrestling interviews, our last 2, were featured on NoDQ.com, but that's much appreciated again to Mr. Spiffy and everybody over there. But really, this show, the way to spread the word is just to click share. Tell your friends. Tag your friends, and again, thank you to everybody that has done so. Man, coming off last night, I watched the UFC 199 last night as I record this. It was great. It was a good night of fights for the most part. I wasn't super into it. I was a fan of seeing Michael Bisping win that middleweight championship. A lot of people don't like Michael Bisping for whatever reason, but I've been a fan of his. I find him entertaining, and he's a good fighter. He's a tough guy, so that was cool. But the big thing that happened was Brock Lesnar, man. He's coming back for UFC 200 in July. I mean, this is unheard of right here. The guy makes so much money for WWE. And he's there maybe 6 or 7 times a year, and he's under contract, but somehow, some way, I think Paul Heyman's involved in this. Somehow, some way, Brock's actually going to be able to fight for the UFC against to be determined right now. I thought it would have been cool if they had him in Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez is on the card fighting somebody else. I think it would have been cool if they would have done Brock versus Cain, but maybe they're going to bring Overeem back for that rematch, because that was Brock's last fight in the UFC, was against Overeem, and Brock took the loss. And of course, it was later found out Overeem had tested, positive for some HGH or something, I believe. I'm not sure of the details on that. But regardless, I mean, whoever Brock fights, man, it's going to be a huge money fight. And I look forward to it. So there's that. And guys, as far as this week goes, again, we're going to cut over to this interview with Jerm Leather. He's a hilarious guy. He has some great stories. He's a lovable guy, man. He's so much fun to be around, and you can learn so much from him. Go ahead and follow him on Twitter at Jerm_Leather. We didn't get to plug his Twitter towards the end of the interview, so I want to plug it right there, at Jerm_Leather. Follow that guy. Add him on Facebook, man. Come check him out. Wherever you'll see his name all over as far as Chico comedy events. I mean, he's one of the best. So we're going to cut over to that right now. Let's do it. We have returned to the awkward back alley with the barbed wire fence and the random motorcycles and bicyclists riding by. In fact, we're having one ride by us right now. It's episode 6 of Mitch, Please. I'd like to introduce my guest right now from the Chico comedy scene. He is the man, the myth, Jerm Leather. Welcome to Mitch, Please.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, I gotta tell you about this, man, because when I think of Jerm Leather, I think of a great guy, a hilarious guy. But what I think of too, man, is an extremely loyal guy. And I'll tell you why. I promoted like 4 shows in Paradise at the Cantina, right? The Cantina's now shut down. But promoted 4 shows there. And there was only one guy besides me that was at every single Comedy at the Cantina event, and that was you, Jerm Leather. And I want to talk about this, man, because I want to talk about what you thought was the most memorable experience at the Cantina, starting us off here, because I remember my most memorable experience, and you were on stage, and you were on the microphone, and you were doing your bit, and we had some hecklers that night, and the greatest line ever was you said your bit, and some girl goes, "Spit on it!" Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. That was a complete nightmare of a show. And don't get me wrong, I say that like laughing and smiling because as a comic, sometimes nightmare shows are so fun because things just go completely off the rails and you have to be a bit more spontaneous and improvisational. And I think all of us were kind of had to be on the top of our game for that particular show. It was madness. It was absolute madness.
Nice. We have a 1972 Ford truck driving by. It's a great spot out here, Jerm. We're getting ready for a studio and open mic. Like you said, man, you did the show at the Cantina, and you were, one of the more memorable performers to come there, to come through Paradise, come through the Cantina. But here's my question, man. How'd this all start for you? Are you from Chico? Where are you from?
Yeah, actually, I was born at Enloe. I always call myself a lifer, because no matter how many times I've moved away, I always end up coming back for one reason or another. And it's a great little town, so I don't mind. I'd love to see more of the world, but I always get drawn back here for some reason.
I feel the same way, man, about Paradise and Chico. Like, no matter how many times I leave, I always come back. So growing up in Chico, what were some of your inspirations as far as entertainment or comedians, or who stood out to you as you were growing up and watching entertainment, comedy in particular?
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, Mitch. When I was a kid, I would constantly risk getting in trouble by sneaking out at 11:30 at night. My mom had gone to bed, and I would sneak out and watch The Tonight Show, and I'd stay up and watch David Letterman, and I did that purely for the opportunity to see the comedians that would come on. So even as a little kid, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't get how this makes people money and how this makes people famous, but these people are doing something that I think looks amazing, and I couldn't wait to do it. But the problem was I grew up and got distracted by other portions of life, and eventually, you're into wrestling, Mitch, and everyone that knows you knows that about you. And I would assume that even when you were a little kid, you were into wrestling. Even when you were a little kid, there was a part of you that was like, man, I want to be involved in this world somewhere. And that's kind of where I am right now, or where I was growing up, and now I get to actually live it, and it's pretty fantastic, I have to admit.
Yeah, man. You talk about David Letterman. I didn't start getting into wrestling until I was about 12. I was actually more into some of the comedy characters, like a David Letterman or an Eddie Murphy, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler. I mean, those are some of the guys that stood out to me growing up. So, I mean, when was the first time you performed live in front of people? And what was the performance?
You mean just in general performing?
Yes, sir.
Well, there was this 6th grade environmental camp that a bunch of us kids were sent to. Whiskey River Environmental Camp. Sounds much cooler than it was, but it was really fun. I mean, I was a kid. And we had this thing the last night that we were there where they did these skits. And I was still a chubby kid, not nowhere near as fat as I am now, obviously, but I always wore this red sweatshirt, and people started calling me Big Red, which is, I guess, a gum. But people called me Big Red, and I remember I walked out on stage to participate in this skit, and the place went crazy, and it was such an awesome, visceral feeling to be recognized and approved of by this group of drooling idiots that were my classmates, and that was one of the first times I ever performed.
What was the skit?
It was this weird skit where a guy lights a candle and cannot figure out how to put the candle out, and so he calls up his friends who show up and do increasingly ridiculous things to try and blow the candle out. And I don't remember what I did, but it was some kind of big, ridiculous thing. And then the final guy, the smallest dude in our little group, comes up, licks his fingers, and just pinches the candle out. And that's the end of the skit. So I have no idea how original it was, but at the time it worked. I mean, it was 6th grade. It was fun.
It's improv, man. So improv was your first experience into basically performance. I mean, did you do any kind of theater acting or drama class going through high school?
Yeah, absolutely. In high school, I was all about theater arts because it was the only class where you could excel by being a goofball. Like the teacher would see me doing something that would be considered disruptive elsewhere and be like, "Well done. What were you feeling when you did that?" You know, silly stuff like that. So that was really fun. And that kind of gave me my first consistent taste of performing, because, you know, every week there'd be a new thing that we were supposed to do in front of the class, and I would invariably find a way to make it funny or weird instead of just doing whatever the thing was most of the time. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. No, I love drama class. I was kicked out of every high school I ever went to, but I eventually made it into Butte College and majored in drama class, man. Majored in theater, because it's all I could do was just take drama classes. The only thing that I had fun doing. It was a blast. I learned so much stuff that I still carry with me today. So when you finished high school, what was your goal in life?
Oh man, can I really answer that? God.
We ask the tough questions here on Mitch, please, Jerm.
Let's face it, man. When I got out of high school, I didn't know a damn thing. I barely even knew who I was. So my plan when I got out of high school was just to avoid school for a few years. So that's what I did. And I went on all sorts of crazy adventures, did a lot of psychedelics, just had a good time. And I honestly did not have any kind of plan. And admittedly, I regret that to some extent. But by that same token, not having a plan led to a lot of the crazy, wonderful experiences that I've had, and meeting people like you, and being able to perform in this lovely town and travel all over and bring my weirdness to the world. So, regrets are an interesting thing in that we often wish that we could rewrite our life, but in truth, who would we even be if we went back and rewrote that life? Would we even be the same person? Probably not. So I'm relatively content with who I am. So that being said, do I have a plan now? No, I just want to perform as much as I can, possibly move to Southern California and see what happens down there. But as of right now, I'm literally just working my 9 to 5 and doing as much performing as I get the chance to.
It's expensive down there in Southern California, brother, let me tell you. And going back to what you said, I mean, you're absolutely right, man. The things that we've done, the choices that we've made, and the things that we've experienced are what make us who we are. So if we were to change those things, I mean, we'd be a different person, like you said. So, all right, Jerm, let's just jump right into it, man. When did you first discover the Chico comedy scene, and what were your initial impressions?
Well, I discovered the fact that there was comedy in Chico around the time that The Last Stand was open. I think it was 2012 when I first started really considering going up and performing. I mean, for years I told myself I was going to do it, but for years I hadn't seen an opportunity and hadn't necessarily pursued it. But yeah, I heard about it in 2012, and basically as soon as I decided, yes, I'm going to go look into this, that's when The Last Stand closed.
And The Last Stand, I'm not familiar with this place. It's a comedy club that was in Chico, is that right?
Correct, yeah. John Ross, one of the local guru comics, veteran comics, went ahead and started that club, and it was pretty fantastic. A lot of the people who are considered the best comics in town these days started out there, so it's pretty cool. But apparently, I mean, I don't know all the story. When you speak to like Mark Leathers or various other people, you might be able to get more of an inside idea of exactly what went down. I assume the issue was that it wasn't profitable enough to keep the doors open. But I discovered the fact that there were open mics happening at the Maltese and at the Down Low, and I went to approximately 2 open mics. The first one was at the Down Low, and I watched people perform and was rather impressed by a number of the people. Back then, Mitch, there was only, I don't know, 6, maybe 7 local comics, so it was kind of crazy. Like,
who were some of the standouts back when you started? You said 2012?
Yeah, well, yeah. Mark Leathers was one of them, of course. Don Ashby, Will Craig, who I don't know if you've ever met. Justin Bryant, who both him and Will moved away. Let's see.
I do remember Will, man, because something about I poops a lot on Twitter or something, right? Does that ring a bell? I remember him. We follow each other on Twitter. He's a good guy. Shout out to Will Craig.
License to Will. That's his at License to Will. And then, you know, Phil from Chico, of course. Jason Murray. I think, Steve Swim was clamoring around as he does. So, yeah, basically, a lot of the people that are now considered the best of the best, with the exception of the people that have moved away, because not that they're not talented, but because they're no longer prominent in the scene around here. Those were the people that were there when I started, and like I said, I went to one open mic at the Down Low, thought it was really fun, didn't really talk to any of the comedians. Then I went to one at the Maltese, and I distinctly remember after the mic, I stumbled out and I ran into Mark Leathers, and I walked up to him and I'm like, "You're Mark Leathers?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You're really funny, dude." And he's like, "Thank you." And I could see the weird, like, I'm not so ignorant that I can't tell when you're a person that people know but you don't know them, and you're just kind of trying to be polite. But he was very polite to me, and I can't remember what I did, but I said, "Oh, that's right, that night we had a crazy heckler who, this big, fat, long-haired dude who just would not shut up during people's sets." And I remember I walked up to Mark and I said, "Oh man, I don't think I can say this on your podcast, actually."
Go for it.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
It's
You can't tease us like that,
it's
Jerm.
not safe for work.
This isn't Mitch Tease. This is Mitch Please. Give it to us.
I walked up to Mark and I said, you know, that guy reminded me of my ex-girlfriend. Hairy, loud, and won't shut up until somebody puts a dick in his mouth. Which was, you know, crude, but Mark laughed, and I felt really good, like, holy cow, I'm making making friends with this dude who I think's really funny, and he was just incredibly gracious to me. He didn't have to be. Honestly, Mark is one of the nicest dudes, and one of the most talented comics around,
He really is, man. No, honestly, he brought me into the Chico comedy scene. So you guys all need to blame him, because we have a mutual friend and everything, and I just ended up meeting him, and he's a great guy. And yeah, I mean, nothing but great things to say about Mark Leathers. But I want to ask you, Jerm, your first performance, man, was it at the Down Low? Was it at the Maltese? Take us through that moment of your first time getting up on stage with that microphone and performing comedy.
Oh, that's an easy story. I worked tirelessly on writing some material, and I'll tell you this, Mitch, and you know this because you performed a few times, more than a few times. Before you do comedy, you have an idea of what it means to be a comedian. You have an idea of what you think will work on stage, etc., etc. And granted, some of that's going to be correct, but some of that is going to just be coming from a place of absolute ignorance because you've never done it before. And I was one of those people that I had 50% things that might actually be funny and 50% things that I just thought would be funny. So I remember I made this dumb mistake, which any new comedians, I don't recommend you do this. I invited a bunch of my friends to see me perform my very first time. Don't do that. And I'll tell you why. Number one, because your friends will most likely laugh even if it's not funny, just to be supportive. And that might give you a false sense of accomplishment or superiority. And B, a lot of those people thought, okay, well, that's Jerm doing comedy, and they never came out to see me again, or it took, years before they finally did. So I would recommend, if you're going to go to a mic your first time, bring one buddy if you want, but don't invite a bunch of people out to come watch you. Also, if you do invite a bunch of people, tell them to shut the hell up while the other comics are on. Too many young people too many new people bring a bunch of their friends, and those people just babble until their friend goes on stage and ruin the show. Anyway, the point is, man, I will ramble. You let me, I will ramble.
Just a little, and I want to respond to that because I made the same mistake, bro. I brought like 6 friends to the first time I did it, and I was like, oh, that went great, 6 of my friends laughed, and then the next time first night was at the Maltese, the next night was at the Down Low, and I just bombed and almost cried, like I was just horrified. Yeah. But going back, man, come on. First night, where was it at?
It was at the Down Low, and Will Craig was hosting, if I remember correctly. And actually what had happened was, it was my first night performing. I remember I messaged Will on Facebook to let him know that I was running late, and he actually addressed that and said that was really professional of me to do that. But I went on stage. The very first joke I ever did was, oh God, what a horrible joke. I haven't done it since. The very first joke I ever did was, you know what's gross about gay sex? The same thing that's gross about all sex. Ew, 2 humans mashing their genitals. It was just this, I don't know. It hurts to even talk about it right now. But what made that bit funny was talking about how when I was a young lad, I was kicked out of preschool because I would make the Barbie dolls have sex with each other. And of course, as a child, my theory regarding human sex was you took a doll in each hand and you smashed them together as hard as you could. That's what sex was. Anyway, the point is, actually, is there a point? There's a truck who is either going to run us over or is just irritated with our existence. I can't tell which.
Yeah, it looks like he's coming right for us. I mean, we got a semi-truck coming at us now. Hopefully he's going away. Oh, yes. Only here on Mitch Please. We do it live. We do it in person. That's what makes this different, man. I do it live and in person. It's one take. There's no editing. Yeah. So, Jerm, okay, so you had your first couple jokes. You performed.
Yeah.
How long did it take you before you really started to get in the groove and feel comfortable and feel like you had something when you went out on stage?
All right. Well, here's the thing. That first time, I got a few laughs. There was some semblance of my actual personality seeped through, and I think that's what saved me. It wasn't necessarily that the material itself was all that good. So I actually got a few laughs my first time. I by no means killed, but by no means bombed. And the other dumb thing, Mitch, and you're a natural performer, so I assume you'll feel the same way about this. The other dumb thing is that I am ridiculously comfortable being the center of attention. like ignorantly, stupidly comfortable. Like, I am up there making a complete ass of myself, and I'm perfectly fine. Meanwhile, moments before getting on stage, I might be a wreck. I might be just stressing out. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. But when I get up there, it's like everything melts away, and all it is just, hooray, I get to go up and be me and play and be silly. So, if I'm honest, probably the moment that it started to really, really, really click was about 1.5 years in. When I started, basically I just started being myself more. I think initially I was very much like, I wrote it this way, I'm going to perform it exactly this way, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And some people that works for them. Some people, they plan every single idiosyncratic move before they ever perform a bit, and then they do it that way. For me, I play around with it multiple times, and eventually I find all the beats that are really funny, beats that I didn't even realize were there to begin with. Like I said, I think about 1.5 years in is when I started feeling like I was really, really getting it. Now, obviously, I have a long, long ways to go. I'm still, 3.5, 4 years in. But the beauty of this art is the more you do it, as long as you're passionate, the better you're going to get at it. So.
No doubt, man. And, you were one of the guys when I first started to attempt stand-up comedy that I was looking at, like, man, I want to pick this guy's brain. I want to learn from him. And I remember messaging you, and the advice you would give me, it was, be yourself, man. Be yourself more. Because you'd see me go up on stage and put on a complete act, and you'd see me do other stuff where it's like, no, that's Mitch. That's what I want to see on stage. And you would tell me, and I still think about that. If I go up on stage, I'm going to go up tonight, that's the number one thing that is always going through my head. Man, Jerm said, be yourself, man. And that's what I do. And some of the more, I haven't had great nights, but I mean, some of the decent nights that I've had on stage has been, me just totally letting go, being comfortable and being myself. So thank you, Jerm, for everything you've done, man, for helping me. And, and then going forward, after you said, you were feeling comfortable, I'm guessing you were hitting mics every week. Mm-hmm. That's the advice you would give somebody starting out: hit mics every week, no matter what. And see what works and see what doesn't work. And you're getting booked on shows. I mean, how long after you started performing, I started going to open mics, how long did it take you to get booked, on an actual comedy show, whether it was in Chico or outside of Chico?
Well, I think I got really lucky in that, like most comics, I'm naturally a funny dude, so that helps. But honestly, it's ridiculous. I think I got booked for my first gig about 6 months in. And no one was more surprised than me when I was offered it. Will Craig came up to me and said, we got this show that's going to be happening at the Blue Room. We have some out-of-towners that are kind of a big deal that are coming in, and we have an extra slot, and just asked me if I wanted to do it. And I have to admit, that was incredibly... it was an incredible opportunity, and it also forced me to test my mettle a little more than I was used to. Because, open mics, don't get me wrong, you want to do well at open mics, but also open mics are there for experimentation. That's where you're gonna trip and skin your knee, and it's no big deal. You don't want to go up in front of a crowd that paid money to be there and completely drop the ball and screw up or try something brand new, unless you're ready, of course. So, all in all, it was a fantastic experience.
What were some of the more memorable shows that you were booked on? What were they? Where were they? And why were they?
Why were they? Fantastic, Mitch. Let's see. That's a good question. Well, this is going to sound like pandering, but it absolutely isn't. The one show that almost always pops up in my head was the one show with you at oh gosh, why does my brain say
the Cantina?
Yes, the Cantina. Thank you. My brain.
The only show I ever was booked on, and that's because I promoted it.
Hey, that's one way to get in shows,
that's
man.
Right.
That show was fantastic. Well, God, I gotta stop saying fantastic. That show was really, really fun. Specifically, the one where everybody was drunk and completely nuts. What did I say? There was some portion. Oh, I said something. I can't remember. Something about, like, how's everybody's night going? And somebody shouted out, I just got out of jail! And I was like, well, whatever I was going to say cannot top that, sir. Well done.
I remember you singing, too, bro. Just going in a solo rendition of, what song was that? Give us a taste of it.
I don't remember what show that was, what song that was. I'll tell you what I do remember about that, though. There was a point where people were, like I said, people were so drunk and rowdy that hardly anyone was paying attention. And at one point I decided I was going to do an impromptu poem about a woman's private parts. And I put the mic to my mouth and I turned and I looked at the television and a Carl's Jr. commercial came on and I just started describing the hamburger that I was looking at. Your luscious beefy folds and cheesy goodness. I don't know, but that, for some reason, that got a good response from the crazies. I'll tell you, the best shows I've been on, I would say, are ones put together by Aaron Standish and his lady Liz Mary. The Mary Standish comedy shows are just fantastic. All the people that he knows that are not necessarily from Chico are amazing. People like Weston McCoy. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. He's fantastic. He's so funny. Nicest dude too. But yeah, Aaron Standish is one of the coolest cats ever, and he came to the scene. He'd been here performing years and years and years ago, but he kind of wandered into the scene and saw what we were doing, and everyone was like, "Aaron, you're fantastic. Please keep coming to the mics and stuff." And eventually he started booking all these wonderful shows at Duffy's and sometimes at the Reading Elks Lodge and various other places.
Oh, I've actually wrestled at the Reading Elks Lodge. In fact, my last wrestling match was at the Reading Elks Lodge.
Wow.
But no, that's great, man. Yeah, Aaron Standish is awesome. He's an awesome guy. I've learned a lot from talking to him too, man. And who were some of the other guys that you learned a lot from over the years, through whether it was in the Chico comedy scene or like you said, guys coming from outside?
That's a good question. Mostly, I would say I learned a hell of a lot from Mark Leathers, as I already said. Don Ashby, who you had on a couple shows ago, I think.
Yep.
And he's just a tremendous talent. That guy, so smart and so kind. I would say I was very fortunate in joining this scene because it's an incredibly supportive scene. For the most part. So I was fortunate in that people were very, very willing to offer advice, very willing to offer support. And it's always good when you have a terrible show and people are actually nice to you instead of just laughing at you or telling you you're awful, which admittedly people have told me I'm awful before. But yeah, no, Will Craig, definitely. Phil from Chico is fantastic. He was always super nice and supportive and appreciative of me being around, which I really, really am grateful for. He moved off to New York. He's a big shot now. If you're listening to this, Phil, you still owe me $5. He might not. I don't know. He probably owes everyone $5 though, if you ever bought him a drink, which everybody has. So yeah, Don Ashby, Mark Leathers, Justin, like I already said, Jason Murray, who is the gentleman who was hosting the Maltese mics when I first started, and now he hosts every other Maltese mic, and I host the one Monday, and then he hosts the next, and so on, alternating. Jason Murray is an incredibly brilliant and odd and surreal comedian. I have to admit that gentleman has also inspired me quite a bit, because you can just sit down with Jason Murray and you can start on a conversation that is literally just you griping and bitching about something, and before you know it, the two of you will be riffing and make something that just pisses both of you off. So funny all of a sudden. Oh, what a fantastic guy. What a great swell dude.
Swell scene, man. Chico comedy scene's incredible. I mean, a lot of these talents out here are just incredible. And we're getting short on time here, Jerm. I know you got to get in there and prepare for your set, and I got to go get in there and prepare to completely bomb and just anger people. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't think like that, Mitch.
No, I know. You know I'm joking.
It takes a while for you to find your footing, man. I mean, you've been incredibly good at and incredibly talented at a lot of things in your life, I'm sure, Mitch. And you need to not give yourself crap. Just keep at it. If you enjoy it and it matters to you, then keep at it. All you got to do is just keep being you, man. You'll be all right.
Thank you, Jerm. I'm going to hug you hard later. Deep hug, long hug. Real quick, Jerm, going out, because the last thing I saw you do, man, it was on Kyle Bowen's NSFW Episode 1 television show. I don't know what's going on with it, but I saw your character. I was dying laughing. Can you please just give us maybe 30 seconds to a minute of that character? Explain it real quick, and then just can you give us a little sample of that? Because, I mean, it's hilarious.
The Kyle Bowen Not Safe for Work show, you can find it by searching for BCAC TV on YouTube. I did a character named Pastor Jim Wilkinson, and I was a televangelist who talked about how I need you to keep sending in your donations because Susan and the kids been telling me how much they love the speedboat that I bought, and I want to make sure that if it gets too cold next winter, I want to get me a nice cabin up in the woods. I can just take my family to, bring a couple of sheep just in case I get lonely. It's a beautiful thing, and thank you so much for being here and enjoying God's good graces and sending me more money so I can send out some tote bags and buy another speedboat. I'm Pastor Jim Wilkinson. Thank you for the attention and the time and coming to the Intergalactic School of Targelson, where I teach all the children every day.
Oh, Jerm, you're the best, man. Where can people find more out about Jerm Leather?
You can friend me on Facebook. It's Jerm with a J. Or just send me a message, or I don't know, wait outside my bedroom window and touch yourself. That's fine. That's also a good choice.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Jerm.
No problem, buddy. Thank you for having me, Mitch. You got a hell of a podcast here. Keep it up.
Jerm Leather, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Jerm, for coming on Mitch Please. You're the man. It was great talking to you. It was always great seeing you perform. And thank you to everybody else that is supporting the show. I can't say it enough, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mitch Please on Facebook, at HeartbreakerMV on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, youtube.com/TheMitchValentine. Comment, share, subscribe, tag, invite. You guys know how to do it. It's 2016. This is the era of social media. And no question about it, without social media, we wouldn't have this show. So I'm very thankful for it. I'm very thankful, and I'm very much looking forward to what the future brings for Mitch Please. And what the future brings in general, guys. Who knows what's going to happen? That's the thing about life. You know, it's like you never know what could happen tomorrow. Tomorrow the world could change. So I just enjoy every moment that I have, and I hope that everyone out there is doing the very same thing. So that's going to do it this week, guys, on Mitch Please. Thank you to everybody that listened. Thank you to everyone that supports. From the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you guys enough. And right now we're going to cut over to a live stand-up comedic performance from our guest this week, the one and only Jerm Leather. Take us away, Jerm.
So, I hate to start the show off super serious, but I had a really rough weekend. On Sunday, my wife fucked my best friend, and my camera battery died halfway through. So, the lesson here, check those batteries, kids. Pretty important. Woo! So the other day, I'm not drunk, fuck it. The other day, I was walking through the frozen food section of my local supermarket, and I saw the Totino's mini party pizzas. And my initial thought was, ooh, $5 for $1, how decadent. And then I looked close, and I saw that there is an angry shirtless wrestler growling and screaming on the cover. Have you seen this promotion? I don't know about you guys, but I don't particularly need that when I'm making a shitty choice at 4 in the morning, half drunk, on what to eat. I don't need a half-naked, sweaty, shirtless wrestler looking at me going, looks like you made some really poor life choices, brother. Nobody needs that at 4 in the morning, right? So needless to say, initially I was really offended, but then I thought, wait a minute. Yeah, first of all, Captain Oily Pants, you're right. I have made some terrible life choices. This is what I'm working with. Secondly, you're a famous WWF whatever wrestler. What are you doing promoting the shittiest frozen pizza possible? Maybe it's time you take a good hard look at your life and stop judging others. The truth of the matter, kids, is that I quit drinking a few years ago. Boo! Boo! We like you better when you're showing us your penis. No, you don't. No, you don't, kids. I quit drinking a few years ago, and it occurred to me recently, number one, I loved drinking. I loved drinking because I would see the point of no return, and I would leap past the point of no return. Oh, 4 shots and I'll be blacked out? Let's take 9 shots! But the thing is, I don't think I was an alcoholic per se, but I will say that the fact that I don't drink now is a problem. My life is so fucking lame, and it occurred to me that if I went to an AA meeting, it would stand for Alcohol Less Anonymous, and it would just be me bitching about how boring my life is. Hello, my name is Jerm Leather. It's been 3.5 years since I pulled my dick out at a party and tried to fuck a random coworker.
Hi, Jerm!
Hi, talk amongst friends. Thank you, kids. But it's true, and there's another side effect that I didn't realize from quitting drinking, so before I get to that, if you are in denial about being an alcoholic, stay there. It's a lovely place. Oh, it's like a big, comfy blanket of denial. Just stay there. So another thing that I realized is, you know, it's perfectly natural for a person who's drinking all the time to get totally fucked up and, I don't know, beat up their best friend for no apparent reason, or call a room full of elderly women assholes because they won't let you sleep on the table they're making puzzles on. That's, you know, that's normal. But the thing is, when you quit drinking, you no longer have that wonderful, oh man, I was so wasted, I don't remember anything last night. When you stop blacking out, what I figured out is, it used to be, I could blame my drinking if I was offensive or creepy or overly sexual. Now it turns out, anytime I'm offensive, creepy, or overly sexual, it's because I, as a person, am offensive, creepy, and overly sexual. Aw, wah, wah, wah. How sad. How sad, boys and girls. Listen, I left my day job to be here to perform for you kids tonight. You lovely children who should not be in the bar. You're going to get in trouble. Speaking of, okay, everybody, this is weird, but everybody who gets up here gets to hold on to a beer. I have a banana. How cool is this? Like, what's up, dudes? Yeah, just, you know, trying to keep my potassium up. It's cool. Just trying, you know, fucking it's cool. Also, I like to eat food. Gonna keep my blood sugar going, kids. This is the most exercise I've gotten all week. I'm not gonna lie. I'm out of breath. No, I'm not. So it's true what they say, everybody. Life does begin at conception, and by that I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about. Listen, I think I should have children. I really do. I think I should have kids. But the thing is, I want to raise my kids to believe that black and white movies are non-fiction documentaries. What's this, Daddy? I'm going to put on the old Frankenstein movie. Why, son, this is a documentary about a scientist who learned how to resurrect the dead with lightning and crappy special effects. Oh my God! What's this? Oh, don't worry about it. This is a little story about an old man who dies, and he keeps saying something about Rosebud. I don't watch movies, don't judge me! That was a reference to Citizen King. Was that the line? Already? You're such a serial killer, Jason. That's why I love you. Everybody, I want you all to know that I love you. I do. People that support local comedy are good people. The Maltese is a beautiful place. Please give a hand to the Maltese. Thank you. I will leave you with something really weird that I highly doubt anyone will laugh at, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think weird things, and I often try to bring those weird things to life. It's a good thing I don't do genetic experimentation, because who knows what kind of fucked up shit I'd create. But that being said, the other day I was thinking how weird it would be if the Steve Miller Band advocated spousal abuse. Hear me out. You know the song The Joker? That song would be completely different, because it'd be like, people talk about me, baby, say I'm doing you wrong. Hey, goddammit, Susan, who the fuck have you been talking to about what I do? I don't work 10 hours a day to deal with your lip! And then the song would not be as beloved because it would be about the abuse of women, which is wrong. That is how I'm going to close my set. My name is Jerm Leather. I love you all.